Well, the current healthcare system obviously is broken. Okay. We are the sickest country in the world. The top 3 causes of death are heart disease, cancer, and doctor errors and medications. The real problem is that we are living in the great poisoning. I'm a lot older than you and probably a lot older than your listeners. And I always tell everyone we need to go back 50 years when life was innocent, simple, pleasurable, and fun. It wasn't toxic. And we weren't all hooked up to electronics and phones, etc.
Yep.
And every decision you make today is a healthcare decision.
I'm here with Dr. Connealy, who has seen thousands of patients with cancer and helped treat them. And now we are in just a normal store. Everyone's walking around grabbing their stuff, but we're gonna grab some things right now that you should probably avoid, and Dr. Connealy has people avoid when they're undergoing cancer treatment.
Or not just cancer treatment.
Cancer prevention lifestyle.
Let's talk about being healthy. So many things you don't realize are not good for you. So here we take like a fragrance. Okay, so this is a custom scent and it says multiple fragrances in each bottle. Now it's one thing, it's natural fragrances, but these are not. These are fragrances. These can cause allergies, also a overreactive immune system. And it does say that it's made without phthalates or formaldehyde, so that's a plus. But this can, whoa, look at this can. This is loaded with alcohol, denatured hydrogenated oils, sodium citrate, cyclodextrin, sodium sulfate. If you can't read the chemical ingredients, you know it's probably. So if it's in the air, it's going inside you and on you.
Yeah, and people are breathing this stuff in, and like we were talking about, like cancer, you can kind of get this overload of the immune system, so you really want to start to minimize stuff like this. Let's find the next thing you should not have in your house to be a healthy human being. That's good. You hate crumble? I love that. That's good. I hate crumble too.
Yeah, it's like raw. It's like raw.
Yeah, it's like too much sugar.
Raw, and they don't cook it, and there's so much calories in it for like $5.
Exactly. There's red 40 in there. We can't have that. Well, what's in the drink? Is that a red 40 filled drink, or is it?
No, I took the no inclusion.
Okay, good.
It's natural.
Nice. That's good. That's good.
Just lemonade.
Let's go. You guys are locked
Yeah,
in.
like a healthy life.
Healthy life.
Okay,
Let's go.
there you go.
Let's
Get
go.
on. This is the way.
So this is a product that you guys like you use?
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is 24-hour body lotion, vanilla cashmere. It sounds like really good, but it does have fragrance and perfumes in it that probably are not very good for you. It's got glycerol stearate. It's got, it does have shea butter, which is not bad.
Well, you can just buy the shea butter.
Yeah, exactly. It does have mineral. That's probably not that good for you either.
So Dr. Connealy treats a lot of people with cancer, and so like cancer, like younger people are getting cancer, and it's like you just use all these products, and then maybe some people eat crumble cookie, they drink soda, and like your body just gets overloaded, and cancer rates are rising in young women too. So you just have to be careful. Use natural stuff. You're a fan of getting sunlight, proper exposure to sunlight, and you're not spraying yourself in these chemical-based sunscreens before you go in the sun.
No way.
As a doctor, why not though? Because a lot of doctors say that's the move, that's what you want to do.
Well, sun is medicine to your body. You have all these cells in your body, 50 trillion cells that have lots of biophotons, and they need light to stay alive. So that's why sun is medicine. Yes, too much is not good, but getting at least an hour a day is not going to hurt you without sunscreen. Now we're looking here at this sunscreen right here. And
This one's for kids, and it has avobenzone, homosalate, octocrylene.
yes, this has so many chemicals on it. So every chemical that's in this, yes, they always kind of blend it with something natural, but it has lots of, if you look at the active ingredients, like this has avobenzone, homosalate, these are not good.
And a lot of them are banned now in like Hawaii and Key West, Florida have banned these because they damage marine life.
Yes.
Well, if something damages marine life, maybe you can find a natural alternative that doesn't damage marine life, first of all. And then also there's like studies where avobenzone and other chemical-based sunscreen compounds interact with like chlorine. It's like a lot of people wear this stuff and then they go in the pool.
These are inflammatory. Your body's got to do a lot to rid the body of these chemicals and toxins.
Absolutely. Let's find the next item right now. Okay, deodorants. So I use a nice natural deodorant, but like a lot of these are filled with aluminum. their goal is to block the action of sweating. Why is this something that you would not want your patients using, or just people in general?
Oh, wait. Well, first of all, this is active ingredient is aluminum, and his and mine.
Yeah.
And so aluminum is like the number one heavy metal that I'm finding in everyone. So you don't want to add aluminum, a heavy metal. All heavy metals cause damage to your DNA. Now, the inactive ingredients are I can't even see this, cycloxazone mineral oil. That's going to clog up your pores.
This one has blue one in there.
Petroleum, kaolin, fragrances. So all of these are designed to intoxicate you more. Okay, this supposedly has a 72-hour invisible solid. This one is 72 hours also. But you want to be releasing from your sweat glands and your skin pores toxicity on a regular basis.
Yeah.
So taking these will basically inhibit your natural function of your body.
It's crazy. And like we see studies where sweat contains stuff that we want to get out, like BPA, like heavy metals. So now you're blocking sweat gland function and you're inhibiting that process. It's crazy. Now we were walking by this island, Dr. Connealy said this is something very important for young women because the ingredient roster here is not ideal.
Super absorbent with propylene glycol.
Oh my God.
Polyester, glycerin, paraffin, stearates. This is not good. These are not, if you're going to use any kind of tampon, first of all, it should be like organic. And they do have these silicone little receptacles that you can also use that is non-toxic. So unfortunately, this is not healthy for an area of your body that absorbs. Your vagina and your anus absorb so much. So you want to make sure that whatever you're putting around that private area for men and women, it needs to be natural and good for the body.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Dr. Connealy, as a cancer doctor, why would you not recommend anyone start their day with this?
Well, first of all, it probably has very little nutrient value. And if you look here, it says here, corn flour blend, which is whole grain, yellow corn.
Glyphosate sprayed corn for sure.
Yeah, sugar is the second ingredient. Okay, and then it says vegetable oils. Well, hydrogenated oils, seed oils are not good for the membranes of your body. Now, the worst part is it's got red 40, yellow 5, blue 1, yellow BH2 for freshness.
It's basically like kind of like a grain sludge, seed oil, sugar filled product, and then to make it bright, they add in red 40 and blue 1.
Right, and then it's just loaded with sugar carbohydrates. It has very little protein and no fat. So this is just gonna drive your insulin like a roller coaster up and then down.
And what do you like for breakfast instead? What are some
Oh,
options?
I eat eggs every morning.
I love
cooked
eggs.
in butter.
Yes, me too. Okay, so I'm a big soda hater. Sometimes I hang out here and offer people $100 to quit soda. Why would you not recommend anybody drink this?
Well, first of all, it's 240 calories of pure sugar, okay? There's no fat, there's no protein, just 100% sugar. It's actually, this whole bottle is 240 calories. Probably 95% of the population is a metabolic problem because they eat too much sugar and unfavorable carbohydrates. And then this is high fructose corn syrup, which will directly cause fatty liver. It's got citric acid. They do have flavors. Sodium benzoate. Oh, that's not going to be good for
Yeah,
you.
nice preservative.
Preservative, yeah, and loaded with caffeine. So this is going to send you to be a rocket, and then you're going to crash. And then it's got erythroic acid, calcium, sodium, EDTA. Also, this is very acidic for your body. So your body has natural alkaline, 7.43 pH. And this is going to make your body very acidic. So it's not going to serve you at all.
All right, guys, now we're going to jump in the podcast studio and we're going to get in depth in some of the stuff on cancer research, some of the stuff you can do to maintain a healthy lifestyle and prevent cancer from even starting. Let's go. What up, guys? Welcome to this episode of Santa Cruz Medicinals Radio. We have Dr. Connealy back in the house. She runs the Center
for New Medicine and Cancer Center for Healing.
And Cancer Center for Healing.
I'm going to get Brendan to come so he can totally live it, breathe it, do it.
I know. I want a tour. And this is inspired, guys, because I did that episode of Locked In with those cancer survivors and young men that are battling cancer right now. And I think it's one of the most critical topics to talk about because cancer rates are rising in young people. Is that right?
Yes. In the last 30 years, actually, British Medical Journal just came out with a study, 2023, that between 18 and 50, there has been an 80% increase in cancer
Wow.
in young people. Yes. Most common cancers are lung, trachea, stomach, breast, and colon.
Jeez. Yeah, that colon cancer stat, I remember seeing it's like up like 124%. And so the way I have like viewed human health is like it's better to be careful when you can with stuff like, that's very controversial in traditional health, like seed oils, red 40, artificial fragrances, parabens. The traditional health model will say, there's no really long-term, really good data on this stuff. It's more just like calories in, calories out. You don't want to get obese. You want to have like adequate micronutrients, but this stuff a little bit isn't going to harm you. You're on the side of like you avoid a lot of the same stuff that I avoid. As an oncologist, why do you do that?
So the real problem is that we are living in the great poisoning. And I know that sounds horrible, but it's true.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm a lot older than you and probably a lot older than your listeners. And I always tell everyone we need to go back 50 years when life was innocent, simple, pleasurable, and fun. Okay. It really was. And it wasn't toxic. And we weren't all hooked up to electronics and phones, et cetera.
Yep.
And every decision you make today is a healthcare decision. Okay. You have to be careful. I'm not saying you're trying to be perfect because that is never a good goal. You want to try to be excellent in your choices, excellent what you do, excellent what you think, excellent what you ingest, et cetera. Everything you put on your body, just mindful now.
Absolutely.
Because today, no one's educating you about what is really going on. Okay. The air is polluted, like beyond anything. Okay. The food is polluted. Even if you grow organic, how do you know they're not in a non-organic farm?
Yeah.
Or what's in the air that's being dropped off? What's in the rainwater? Okay. The water is polluted. That's why you have to have some kind of water purification system. Something is better than nothing.
Yeah.
Okay. And then everything that we're living in. I mean, the biggest thing that's really not talked about is the invisible electrical field that we are all around.
Yeah.
Between cell towers and satellites and cell phones and iPhones and iPads and everything electrical, and you're an electrical being.
Yep.
And so I feel like that is such a unspoken entity to talk about because, you don't see it.
Yeah.
So not that you see the toxins either in all the food, but it is a serious impact on our health.
Absolutely. And so like, what are some basic things that people can do to sort of avoid those EMFs? Like I have, like my Wi-Fi doesn't reach my bedroom. And then I'm airplane mode at night. And then when I get up in the morning, I'm getting my feet in grass and grounding. What are some things that you like to do?
Okay. So that's like a perfect start. Okay. So first of all, don't have your cell phone in your room. Okay. Not at all. All right. You don't need your cell phone. What do you need your cell phone? Because we have 911 that people can call if they do have an emergency, right? So you don't need your cell phone. You shouldn't be sleeping with your cell phone. You shouldn't be reading your cell phone before bed. You need to use your sleep as your, like, sleep is when you go to sleep is when your day starts. Okay. So that needs to be perfect. So I actually have a QRS mat, which is a German design like mat that's under. So I do that for like 30 minutes before I go to bed.
Nice. Okay.
It's got all kind of frequencies in it. Then I turn off the electricity to my bedroom. I actually have a switch that turns up because every electrical outlet is putting out electricity.
Put like the meter there and you can see it.
Right.
Yeah.
Now you can put filters on those, but I just turn off. And then I personally sleep in a Faraday cage.
Nice.
So
See,
it's
we need to get to this level.
it's a very fine material. Long time ago, they used to make canopy beds.
Yeah.
So it kind of looked like a canopy bed. It's nothing
Yeah.
ugly or weird looking or anything.
Mhm.
It's actually beautiful. So they have these beautiful materials that actually shield.
I need to get one of those.
Yeah. So like you have to invest in your health.
Yeah.
And I tell people, civilization is not creating healthy people.
Mhm.
So we have to take these measures now.
100%.
Okay. Now, let's say you can't afford one of those. It's not that they're not that expensive now, but just at least get a switch. It cost me $35 to put a switch to
Yeah.
turn off the electricity to my
Yep.
bedroom. Okay. You don't need light. Okay. You should sleep in a very, very dark room,
Yes.
slightly cool.
hmm
And then if you need a light, the best light at night is like a green light. Like if you want to get one of those green little lights. If you
Yeah.
need
Huga
some-
makes all those little flashlights for at night, like the
Yes.
little green one,
Yes,
little red
it's
one.
red
yeah.
one. Yeah. So that's like perfect if you need that.
Mhm.
Okay. So, and I have an electric alarm clock. I mean, not electric, but a battery operated alarm
Nice.
clock. Okay. So I really do a lot of protection for that.
Yeah.
And then in the day, first thing you want to try to look at the sun.
Yes.
Now it's a little darker because it's winter,
Mhm.
but pick a time. I always go out in the middle of the day
Mhm.
and get sunshine.
Yes.
And sunshine is, it's the full spectrum.
Mhm.
So the full spectrum of the 7 colors in the rainbow.
Mhm.
So that's all good because all of your cells have biophotons.
Yeah.
Biophotons are lights that turn on your cells in your mitochondria.
hmm
So it's very important for you to get good, healthy light. Yes, you can do red lights and all that, but there's nothing like sunshine.
hmm
Okay. Now you talked about grounding. Okay. Well, people who live in snow can't go ground, right? I mean, you could, but
I was walking around a little barefoot in Tahoe, not for
yeah.
long.
Yeah, but not for long.
Not for
okay.
long. Yeah.
But you can do it. But there's nothing better that's free than stand barefoot on Earth's magnetic field.
Yeah.
Okay. Because it's an electron donor.
Mhm.
That's why it's great to be around trees and nature and running water because those are electron donors to your body.
And so sunlight is this really controversial thing. I think a lot of people are starting to realize that the sun is extremely beneficial. It's something we've always known as Homo sapiens. And then recently we were told, and we still are, the official narrative from our government is if you're going to go in the sun, use chemical-based sunscreen, cover yourself, shield yourself. And there's kind of 2 narratives here. There's one that excess sun causes cancer. And then there is the second one, which people are saying sun makes you age. You're going to end up looking horrible. Which I always bring up all the group of professional surfers on the world tour. They all look great. They get a lot of sun. But why, as a cancer doctor, are you telling patients, hey, get some sunlight, get in the sun? It seems counterintuitive to what the traditional narrative is.
Right. So I always ask people a very obvious question. Is skin cancer decreasing or increasing?
Increasing.
It's increasing. Okay. I mean, I have 18-year-olds with skin cancers, melanoma being the worst. And younger people are getting basal cell, squamous cell. It is the number 1 cancer. So if sun was the demon, we wouldn't have this dramatic increase in cancer. Now we have sunscreens. You mentioned chemical sunscreens, but also even the natural sunscreens. I think they're good if you're staying extended lengths of time. But the first hour, try to get sun without a sunscreen.
Yep.
I personally don't use sunscreen, so I will if I'm out in the sun for an extended period.
Yeah,
of
like
time.
I have like a mineral-based sun product, but it's like I don't use it unless it's like maybe like Mexico surf trip. Like I'm gonna
Right.
be in the sun for like a really long time. And my first line of defense is just throw on like a long sleeve, throw on like a hat but like now I have this intuitive sense of I know when I'm going to start to get burnt. And
Right.
you sort of learn this and you build this like solar callus, some people call it. But like for different people, it's going to be different. We have our buddy Joe, who's very like fair skinned. Like he's not going to be able to be in the sun for as long as I am,
Right.
but he can get morning sun, evening sun.
Correct.
It's going to be beneficial.
Yeah. The time is before 10 and after 2.
Mhm.
So the sun is good for you for lots of different reasons. And we really told people not to get out in the sun. And that's, as a young kid, we were always out in the sun. We didn't have sunscreen, and people were a lot healthier.
Yeah.
And to make vitamin D, we need the sunshine. And we know vitamin D influences your immune system, decreasing your risk of cancer.
Yeah.
So, and melanoma is not caused by the sun, because when you see it on people, it's always in a covered area.
Yeah.
And so melanoma is like any cancer. It's usually many different reasons why someone has cancer. It's never just like one thing that contributes to cancer. And basal cell, though, is caused by an excessive amount of sun that you've allowed yourself to get burned. But most people, like you said, they intuitively know.
Yeah.
Right.
And then there's like this new thing of like a isolated blue light. We had this like circadian biologist expert in here, and he was talking about all the isolated blue light that people are getting. And even like the truck driver thing, like he had a famous post where the guy who drove the truck, this side of his face is all messed up. I think he had some basal cell on this side of his face. And then so people go, well, the sun's hitting him when he drives that route, and this is why this happened. And the guy makes the point of, no, the window isolates the blue light and takes out the full spectrum of sunlight. That is why his face aged like that. And now today with our phones, like we're illuminating ourselves with just isolated blue light. And in a lot of the studies on skin cancer, they're just exposing shaved rats to isolated blue light. And then they go, well, this is sunlight, but it's not the full spectrum. You don't have that red in there. You don't have the green, the yellow, the
violet,
you don't, So
green. It's
pretty wild that I think we're sort of coming out of this thing of like, you have a lot of people, Huberman, for example, like saying, I'm not really using sunscreen. I'm going out in the sun. And like the traditional dermatology, community gets shocked, and they go like, no, this is wrong. You should not be getting sun unless you're protected. To me, it never made sense, because I got my degree in anthropology. I studied our ancestors. I'm like, this doesn't make any sense that this is our star.
Right. Well, look at people who live close to the equator. They have less skin cancer.
Yeah.
And they're outside in nature, in sunshine, a lot of the time. And they don't have the rates of skin cancer that we have. So it's the sun is a medicine, and that's what we've got to get back to.
Absolutely.
Too much of anything isn't good.
For sure. Yeah, no, that's the thing. Whenever I post about this, people will go, no, like if you get burnt this, burnt that. No, nobody is saying to go get burnt.
Right.
You're saying to get intelligent sun exposure, and it's going to do many good things for you. I want to get into some somewhat controversial things. Now, before we do that, how long have you been treating people who have cancer for?
Well, I've been practicing medicine. This is my 40th year.
Wow.
But cancer prevention for probably about 30 plus years, cancer prevention. And then when I started seeing a lot more cancer, about 15, 20 years ago, I was like, oh, we need to develop an integrative approach to cancer. So I had a friend of mine who was an oncologist, a great guy. I loved him. I sent all my patients to him because he was just wonderful about taking care of the patients. And he was totally collaborative and cooperative with how I took care of patients. And he didn't like say, oh, no, that doesn't work, or that. He never said that. We worked together. And I said, hey, would you be interested in opening up a cancer center for healing? Well, actually, there was a doctor, a surgical oncologist from Mexico, Tijuana, who had a cancer center, and it was called Oasis of Hope. And he wanted to create Oasis of Hope in the United States because it was in Mexico. And so we all got together and we started the Oasis of Hope in the United States. And then, of course, people just wanted to go to the United States.
Yeah.
So we separated and parted ways. And then I created Cancer Center for Healing. And so this has been now, gosh, I've kind of lost track, but probably about 17 years.
Wow.
Yes. And now cancer has just exploded in all age groups, especially in the young people.
Yeah.
And it was interesting because the girls submit cases to be reviewed to see if I'm going to take them on as a patient, because if they're initial early stage, I take them. But if it's stage 4 for a long time and they've already done everything in the conventional oncology paradigm, then, and their case is so far gone, I might not take them because it's not fair to the patient.
Yeah.
And so it is amazing every week. 28-year-old with stage 4 colon cancer, already received 40 sessions of chemotherapy, and they're 28. 30-year-old with pancreatic cancer, stage 4. I mean, these are signs, very serious signals.
Yeah.
Okay. And I've been saying this actually for a long time, because I used to say that you had a warranty until you're 40. And now I can't say that because we have all these young people with cancer and other chronic diseases. But cancer in a young person is a much more aggressive situation because their DNA is replicating quickly. And, there's an old saying that, these young people are the canaries in the coal mines. The canaries were taken to perceive the carbon dioxide. And the children, the young people, like the show you just had that you were sharing with me, this is a 911.
Yeah.
Okay. And we need to be all talking about it.
Yes.
And we should be corporate and collaborating. And, because people don't think a young person's going to get cancer, but clearly I'm seeing it, you're seeing it. We're not the only people seeing it.
Yeah.
And so we need to have an open discussion. U.S. tends to be the worst, the leader in the world in chronic diseases. Yes, we have amazing healthcare, great with an emergency, but for prevention, for proactive, personalized, preventive, we do not have a good system, unfortunately, because our doctors are taught to use a drug or surgery or both. They're not taught to prevent diseases and create health. And we should, as physicians, be creating health as opposed to treating illness, sickness, and disease. And I tell everyone, it's very easy for me to get you healthy. It's very complex, complicated to treat a disease that's already been enforced. Because if you've been diagnosed with cancer, that started 8 to 10 years ago. So that means we have all this opportunity to prevent cancer and other diseases.
Yeah, I feel like I've been screaming from the rooftops that people need to be extremely careful with all this stuff. And I do all this stuff to raise awareness. Like, people are like, why are you handing out $100 outside of McDonald's to get people to not go into McDonald's? And it's like, of course, I would hope that person that takes $100 doesn't eat McDonald's and gets inspired. But I know that it's going to raise awareness because people are going to go, why is this crazy dude handing people money to not drink soda or not eat McDonald's?
And what percent of them take it?
The percent, it's probably like 60 to 70. A lot of people say, no, I want the McDonald's. I want the soda.
So
we have a funny video with one guy. We offer him $100 to not get Dr. Pepper. He has like 40 Dr. Peppers. He goes, nope, I drink 10 of them a day. Nope, I'm good. And the crazy thing is I get a lot of pushback from the traditional medical community where they go, basically, they say there is no research showing that eating McDonald's, even like this 80-20 rule, 20% of your diet can be junk. And what's really important is your body composition. Sure, if you're fat, you need to, start to go into a calorie deficit and lose weight. That's pretty much what they say. But there's a lot of nutrition influencers, doctors and stuff who've made videos attacking my stuff where they go you say you're not a fan of seed oils. There's no research on that. Seed oils help cholesterol. So seed oils are good. Red 40, there's no long-term studies on artificial food dyes. You shouldn't promote that stuff is bad. And my concern is, I just did this lockdown with 6 kids of cancer, and none of them were obese. They just, I'm like, what is going on here where they're getting lymphoma, liver cancer, brain tumors at age 18, 19, 20 years old? So let's dive into some of these controversial things. Seed oils. Seed oils are... I'm not a fan of seed oils. I started to not be a fan of seed oils after I experimented with cutting them out and then adding them back in, and I felt headaches. I got skin issues when I would include seed oils back in my diet. And I think it's fair to say that the research on them does show that they can lower LDL, but then I started to dive into the in-depth heart health conversations where LDL isn't the full story and inflammatory biomarkers are very important. And then I started to dive into some of the studies showing that, like beef tallow at high temps doesn't produce as much benzoate as some of the seed oils when heated. So I've tried to minimize them in my diet. You also aren't a fan of seed oils. So as an oncologist, why do you go against the medical community that says that these are better than butter, beef tallow, coconut oil, ghee? They say to really minimize those.
Right. Well, seed oils are not good for you. Okay. You have to think about the anatomy of your body. First of all, we live in a miracle of 50 trillion cells. All of those cells contain fat, every single one of them. So we have the magical membrane that's fat. And then you look at the mitochondria, which are your powerhouse engines that make the currency of life, ATP. And unfortunately, those seed oils gum up the mitochondria and they create lots of free radicals and inflammation. So because those oils have been heated, all right? So they've been oxidized. So they're not good for your membranes. They're not good for good communication and functionality of the cell, period. And this is what people don't understand. You've got to eat things in its original state. That's why you eat foods as much as possible in its original state. Okay, like fruits and vegetables. Now, yes, you can eat meat, but you can cook meat and have it rare where all the nutrients are. And it's very, very good for you. Okay. And you can slow cook meat. And so, or chicken or other proteins because you need protein inside. But fats, you need to stick to the tallows and the butter and the ghee and the coconut oil and avocados. You need to eat food-based oils. So don't gum up the membrane.
So a lot of the traditional, medical community goes but they go, well, look at this study we have where we fed people seed oils and their inflammatory biomarkers didn't go up and their cholesterol went down. So thus, if we get a patient in, we want them to eat more seed oils. This is where we're at, Dr. Connealy. This is literally what they're saying. So as an oncologist, you get patients.
I'm not an oncologist, but I'm a doctor that treats lots of cancer patients.
As a cancer doctor.
Yes.
Why when you get patients into the center, why do you not give them soybean oil or canola oil?
Because I had this discussion yesterday with the patient because I told them these are highly processed heat treated oils. Okay. This is not, it's not good for you. It's not good for your body. Okay. And it takes a couple of years to get seed oils out of your body so that the machine of your body is properly functioning. So seed oils are not good. I mean, everyone needs to look at a cell. Obviously, this is not a cell, but let's just pretend it's a cell. The membrane is called the magical membrane. It's made up of essential fatty acids and phosphatidylcholine. And then inside the cell, you have your beautiful mitochondria. And those mitochondria have a fatty acid membrane. And so here you are gumming up all of the cell so that it's not functioning and working for you. And you can't communicate. This cell can't communicate with this cell if you've got gummed up membranes and gummed up mitochondria.
Yeah, and the mitochondrial health is super important. There's just that guy on Rogan, Chris Masterjohn, who is really into mitochondrial health. And yeah, at the end of that podcast, he talked in depth about how his belief is seed oils damage your mitochondrial health. And as we know, mitochondrial health is it's already the next frontier of medicine.
It's not really the next frontier. It's been the frontier.
Yeah. No, and it's so crazy. So I got this mito.me mitochondrial test that I'm waiting on. And I've started to add in some just stuff from my mitochondria, whether it be some CoQ10 or PQQ and stuff like that. And you get this in-depth energy. It's weird. We have a buddy who's really high level in jiu-jitsu, and we won't name him because I don't know how legal this is, but he has started to do some of these mitochondrial peptides, which I know are very experimental and stuff, but he was I'm not tired. Like I'm doing like constant, like, and he's like a really muscular guy. And he's like, I'm not getting tired in the same way I was. And it's not like an enhancement of cardio. It's like his mitochondria are probably functioning on a crazy level, maybe too crazy. We'll see how those mitochondrial peptides work out for some people. But yeah, that's really fascinating. And so what the next thing I want to get into is amongst young men, this common thing that I hate on is colognes. Like I always am roasting like my buddy Tahir. He's always like, you give him a hug and you're like, I smell like cologne. And people will say this is over the top. It's only a little bit. But as a doctor, why are you not spraying yourself with a bunch of perfume? And if you have patients come into your place, like why are you're probably telling them like, do not be spraying cologne or perfume on your skin. Why is that?
Yeah, well, we have a rule in our clinic, like not to use perfumes and because patients are very sensitive.
Yes.
Like if patients have fungus or mold or chronic inflammatory response syndrome, they can't handle all of these.
Yeah.
There's lots of chemicals in these fragrances.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Like, when I see an advertisement for Febreze or these things you can put, and I'm like, oh my God, terrible. You can just use simple essential oils.
Yes.
You don't need all these, chemical smells.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I can't stand chemical smells.
Me neither.
And so
really
I
hate it.
personally don't wear any. I don't wear perfume and I don't wear anything because I hug patients. So it's incredibly, a lot of them are very sensitive.
Yeah.
So it's just another chemical you're putting on your body, and we're already living in a chemical cage, literally.
Yeah.
Okay. And there's too many to count chemicals. And it's not just the chemicals that are in your environment and atmosphere. It's like the chemicals in the world. There's 8 billion people. There's no walls between countries, and no one's going to agree on anything about banning all these chemicals. Unfortunately, nothing soon.
Yeah.
All right. And this is reality. So adding one more is not good. And whatever you put on your body, it's inside your body. You've got to process it all.
Yeah.
And so it's one thing you can tell your friend, you can, help him find a natural cologne.
I know. Oh my gosh.
natural.
We need to, it's tough.
Yeah.
You do jujitsu with these guys, and sometimes
And
like
they're
I'll
all
do
in-
jujitsu with a guy and like I know that they're wearing like that Old Spice deodorant. There's actually this crazy new deodorant brand out there advertising on TikTok, and it's like not a new thing, but I'm like, oh my God, I see it. So I was doing some research on like the sweat gland function and like what are sweat glands, and it turns out like we sweat out heavy metals, BPA. It's like an amazing detoxification system that we have in our body. And there's like these multiple sweat glands, like there are stress sweat glands and there's like normal sweat glands. And a lot of these new deodorant products have chemicals in there that block these sweat glands. Because people are just like, I don't want to sweat. I'm wearing something, and if like I sweat, my day is going to be ruined. My outfit's going to be ruined. So they've made these gels that literally block like your sweat glands. Like you won't sweat.
Wow. Yeah, but that's a norm. That's like healthy for you to sweat.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. And so that's like
That's why sauna is so healthy.
Yes.
Is because you're sweating out toxicity.
Absolutely. Yeah. I love the sauna. I put one, there's one up here, then there's one at my other spot. I'm like addicted to the sauna. The next thing I want to get into is basically like weight training, exercise, all this type of stuff. Why is that good for cancer prevention?
Well, first of all, sitting's the new smoking. Okay. And unfortunately, people are not getting, and that's the most difficult thing in 40 years for me to get patients to do is exercise. And every single patient, every visit, I talk to them about their sleep, their water, their eating, their exercise, and their stress. Okay. Every single visit, because they have to be reminded on a regular basis. And exercise, that's why when you go to a gym, they take your money. What percent of people do you think go to the gym once they've signed up?
Oh my gosh. I mean, it was so busy after New Year's, Eve, everyone makes their
Efforts.
resolutions. And then in about 2 to 3 weeks, it's probably
It's already down.
70% less people.
Right. So it's really less than 10% of people actually go to the gym. Okay. Now, you don't have to go to a gym to exercise. When I grew up, I didn't go to a gym because you just went outside and ran. And you just do push-ups and sit-ups and everything at your home. You didn't go to a gym. And so that's why I always tell people there is no, like, you can do exercise anywhere, anytime, anyhow.
Yeah.
Okay. And even 5 minutes is better than 0 minutes.
For sure.
Okay. So exercise, it is an energy producer. So your muscles are what they call piezoelectric. So when you press on your muscles, okay, or when you move your muscles, they create energy. Okay. It's I talked about the mitochondria being the currency of life, but your muscle is too. All right. And so muscle is like how your body's going to take care of yourself. It's going to hold itself. You are going to help your lymphatic circulation. Like no one talks about the lymphatic. You were talking about the sweat glands. The lymphatics is what removes garbage. It's a big part of your immune system. It's the transportation of fats. And so your lymphatic system is moved when you exercise. The big thing is oxygen. Okay. What is the number one thing we need to stay alive is oxygen. So you're breathing in oxygen into your body. And cancer is what? An anaerobic environment. Otto Warburg got a Nobel Prize 100 years ago that cancer is an anaerobic acidic environment. And when you don't have good oxygenation, nothing works as well, right?
Yeah.
So exercise also increases your brain-derived neural growth factor. So you have better outlook on life, better energy. So it's good for your mood. It's good for your circulation. It's good for, there isn't anything. It's good for the physiological functions of all your body, how your body works. And it's good for prevention of cognitive impairment. All right. I mean, exercise should be like priority all the time, every chance you get.
I completely agree with that. I'm going to walk you through now the morning of an average 17 to 19-year-old, and I want you to just like dive into it. Okay. Wake up, boom, phone. Scroll reels of clavicular mogging. Put your phone away. Probably not drink any water. Probably an iced coffee or something from Starbucks, maybe some sugar in there. Okay.
In a plastic container. Get a little bit tired, maybe eat a Pop-Tart or some cereal. Oh.
Okay. Or maybe one of those protein bars. We have a real food protein bar coming out, but one of those protein bars, sucralose in there, artificial flavor. Get tired, take a Zyn. Zyns are like so popular now, the oral nicotine pouches. Pop a Zyn. Chill, maybe eat some McDonald's, Taco Bell. Maybe if they're trying to be healthy, some Chipotle. Hopefully they're trying to be healthy. And then get a little more tired. Now it's 3 or 4 p.m. Celsius energy drink, 150 milligrams of caffeine, some more sucralose. That's kind of how the beginning of the day goes for a lot of 17 to 19-year-olds out there. Why, as a cancer doctor, would this make you concerned?
Well, every choice is terrible.
Yeah.
Okay. Like literally every choice. So,
but they might say, you know what? I don't feel that bad though.
Yeah. Because you're 17 and you're 17 and let's face it, you can break rules, but you can only break rules for so long. Okay. This is the bottom line is people take their life for granted. Okay. And it's amazing. All the patients that I see, whether they're young or old, and they all say, what did they change when they got diagnosed with cancer? They got the microscope out with their life and made all the changes they should have made before the diagnosis. The sleep, the water, the eating, the exercise, the alcohol, the phone, the whatever, right? Okay. And so, yes, you think most people play Russian roulette every day and they think, oh, I'm just going to roll the dice and take those chances.
Yeah.
Okay. With the food that they're eating, the Zen, whatever. Okay. But all of it, not one thing the person did was beneficial for them. Not one thing. Think about it.
Yeah.
Okay. Literally not one thing. Fortunately, they slept, maybe. I don't know. With all that caffeine, I don't know how they could have slept.
Yeah.
Okay. But it is like everything. I mean, if they went to Chipotle, that's probably the best thing. Decent, probably the best thing they could have done. Okay. But everything has led to basically physical, mental, emotional, degradation.
Yeah. No, I have like severe concerns for young people right now.
Well, I'm just so glad that young people like you are, and I do see a lot of young people really like now it's about 30 because when you're a teenager, you're a nitwit. Okay, let's face it.
Mhm.
Okay. And I mean, everyone went through it. It's like everyone has to kind of go
for
through
sure.
their crazy awkward stage. I mean, everyone, I don't know anyone that, well, I'm sure there are people that don't, but I think every teenager kind of goes through leaving the nest,
For sure.
and does things wrong and just does whatever they want, go to eat wherever they want, eat the fast food. I mean, let's face it, okay? But, when you turn around 25, you're kind of like, you kind of have like, because a male's brain is around 25, 28, some people say 30, before it kind of like stops maturing.
Yeah.
All right. Or not stops maturing, but like you finally are calibrated at this stage of like more stability.
Yeah.
A female's younger, but I think there comes a time where you have to say, I gotta like address myself. And then also you don't feel that good after
100%.
once you turn around 25, and aging starts happening really between 20 and 30.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, your thymus gland involutes.
We've been hearing a lot about that. We had Dr. Aboud Bakri in here, and he was talking a lot about the thymus gland, like preservation and
Aboud Bakri. Why do I know
Oh,
that?
he's in Orange County. He's a MD out there, and he's really into like peptides and stuff.
Oh, he is?
Yeah,
Okay,
you've
that's
probably
great.
crossed paths with him.
Uh-huh.
He's awesome, and it's
That's so good.
the crazy thing is I feel like there's this group of doctors who are willing to sort of push the boundaries and like be on the cutting edge and ask like the question of like why. And what I've talked about a lot with folks is they're going to their normal doctor, right? Maybe they're into health and they're 16 years old, 17 years old, and they go to their, family doctor and they say, hey, I want maybe lab tests or something like that. And they can't get these lab tests necessarily because of the insurance model of healthcare, which is probably why you run your cancer center the way it is, because if you try to run everything through insurance, the doctors themselves will get in trouble if they give a healthy 17-year-old a GI map test or
a blood test.
blood test.
Or even just a blood test. Oh, that's not covered,
Because they're not sick and it's not for a condition, right?
Right.
So the preventative healthcare gets thrown out the window with the traditional system. And so now I've been in this world, now that I have, doctors on and I have money, I'm like, I'm getting GI map tests, I'm getting Dutch tests, I'm getting in-depth blood work. I did the pre-nuvo early,
did?
all that type of stuff. And it's great. I love it. I'm very blessed to be able to do that. But then it sort of is like, okay, health sort of in a way is like going into this like land of like have and have nots because of the insurance system.
Mhm.
And I guess like what are some things that people can do lab testing wise or advocating for themselves with their own doctor? Because I keep on asking that question to doctors and they're kind of like not much with the current system that we have. Is there anything you could think of for that person out there that wants to kind of advocate for themselves?
Right. Well, the current healthcare system obviously is broken. Okay. We are the sickest country in the world. The top 3 causes of death are heart disease, cancer, and doctor errors and medications.
Mhm.
So those are the top 3. We focus on illness, sickness, and disease. We don't focus on, creating health.
Mhm.
It's not how doctors are taught. They're just not taught that way,
Yeah.
unfortunately. So you're better off not going to a regular doctor because he or she doesn't know. They don't have that in their toolkit.
Yeah.
Okay. It was interesting because I was at a meeting looking at a new scan for heart disease. And it was a lecture. It was about 18 people. And next to me after the lecture was a cardiologist.
Mhm.
And so we introduced each other. He goes, oh, I know you. I follow you on Instagram. And I said, well, what happened to you if you're following me on Instagram? And he goes, well, I've been a cardiologist for 18 years. And all I did is I'd fix the patient and they'd come back with the same problem. And I finally said, this is not working. So I've got to go figure out what does work.
Mhm.
So He's been studying for 18 months, functional, integrative. I call it just the new updated medicine, really. And it's actually the old medicine just reinvented, actually, because sunshine, right? The things that we talk about a lot are available and free if you think about it.
Yeah.
And so it is changing, but think about it. A doctor, a young person goes to medical school. They incur lots of debt. Then they go a residency program at a hospital that they're taking care of patients that are very, very sick for the most part. Yes, they'll do rotations in family practice or different kind of, internal medicine, et cetera. But it's kind of an extreme setting. It's not just the normal John and Mary that just need to create health.
Yeah.
Okay. And so then they're in debt. They now 7, 8 years, 9 years, 10 years, literally their life has been on hold on a spiritual, emotional, physical, financial level. Think about it.
Yeah.
Okay. So now they've got to make money to pay back bills. They don't have time to learn like the new stuff because they're now married, they've got kids, and they've got to work, and they're a slave to the electronic medical record.
Yep.
Okay. And they can't even think about studying vitamin D, much less anything else. I mean, it's really, really sad. And a lot of these doctors are employed by corporate medicine where someone else is making all the rules.
Yes.
Okay. And which is the worst. So we have this robotic conveyor belt of medicine and no one is getting better. Okay. And then they're on all these medications. Okay. The United States consumes 70% of the world medication. Do you know that over 50% of the planet is treated naturally?
Yeah.
Okay. Now seriously. Okay. They're using herbs or, maybe trauma treatment, or maybe they tell them to go, get sunshine. I mean, it's natural. Okay. And they're using homeopathy. They're using all kinds of things that are not drugs. Like in China, where there's 1.5 billion people, it's just normal for you to get herbs, okay? And you don't get tablets. You go boil them yourself, okay, and drink them and all kind of things, okay? Then you go to Japan, and health is in the environment.
Yes, everything.
Okay. So they have the baths and they have sweet potatoes at kiosk. I mean, and everybody walks, and it's health is incorporated in their culture.
Yep.
Okay. And so you're right. It's not available. And then the doctors don't know. And, they don't have time or energy or bandwidth to know until they usually get sick themselves. Or they learn about it from someone and they listen, like a lot of people don't listen, and we got to all listen to each other. And then health is not esteemed as a value.
Yeah.
It's not the number one value that it should be. And if you don't have your health, and you can just come work with me for a day or two and you'll see that if you don't have your health, you have nothing.
Yeah.
Okay. You don't have yourself. You don't have a relationship. You don't have your family, you don't have your job, and you don't have your community because you're not, well.
Yeah.
And not just cancer, but other medical problems. And so we've got to change the system. I know there are people, not enough people to change the system. I educate a lot. I try to do a lot of education. I know people have read my book and changed their whole life. Okay. So we're living in the era of information. So there's no shortage of information.
Yeah.
Okay. There's no shortage. So a lot of people can really work on their health by just reading.
Yeah.
And reading reliable stuff. Don't rely on the news. Do not rely on newspapers because they're not educating you about how to be healthy. Okay. They're really not, most of them are. Epic Times maybe does a little bit. Okay. But all the other sources, I mean, the pharmaceutical companies pay for all the ads on all the TVs. Okay. And so we have an upside down system. So you've got to I say that self-care is the new healthcare. Learning how to take care of yourself. And the formula isn't that difficult. By the time you focus on your sleep, your water, eating foods that nourish, strengthen, heal your body, move your 800 muscles. Okay. You think about doing things to relieve stress. You just listen to a Tibetan healing meditation, so veggie frequencies, just be outside, go listen to the ocean. Just like, everyone has stress, and stress is part of life. When you have extraordinary stress, go talk to your friend, go try to find a counselor, try to maybe go to a minister, just go and start talking about it and turn it into good. You can turn the worst thing in the world into good, I promise.
Absolutely.
Okay. I'm 68 years old. You think I had a whole favorable existence? Hell no.
Yeah.
Okay. And in fact, people always think, because they think, oh, wow, she looks like she's like fine and wonderful and da-da-da-da-da. And like, of course, I have lived a very, very eventful life.
Yeah.
Okay. And it wasn't all good.
Yeah.
Okay. And the reason why I got into this is because I had very early on unfavorable experiences with my health from a drug that my mother took when she was pregnant with me. And I think you know that story. And I had to find all the answers by myself. Okay. Like researching, studying, and I went way outside the box. Okay. And I did go see conventional doctors too when I did have problems. And they are like, not that much help at all, unfortunately. And I was a doctor even, and there wasn't that much help. I mean, I remember when I wanted my thyroid checked, and the doctors just go, oh, you're stressed. You're stressed from training and school and so forth. And then I just had to start ordering my own test and found, all the solutions by myself. And now, of course, I am where I am now all these years later. And I always tell people, whatever I don't know, I know 10 people to go talk to about whatever I need to talk about. But seek the answers. And, you have to go and listen to your intuition. Your intuition is a scientific meter, whether something is good or not, and it's going to serve your highest interest, right? And it is so paramount today because illness is not decreasing. And like you said, you're talking to these young boys that have a very serious cancer. But when you think about it, that the CDC reports that 77% of people, and that means all ages, are chronically ill. So obviously the healthcare system isn't working.
Yeah.
Now, the CDC underreports. So it's probably over 90%.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, think about all your friends. Now, your friends might be healthy because everybody's kind of right. I have the same values, right? And health is, probably their number one value, right? Or more or less, right? And so, we as a society, like you're promoting health, I'm promoting health. Yes, there are other people promoting health. And that's what we need to do is really educate, inspire, and teach people constantly, no matter what, about how to create health. And I do see glimpses. I literally do see glimpses. And it's the young people. Yeah. It's the young people that are changing things. I had a young boy, 15 years old, who came with his mother, who I'm treating for breast cancer from Canada. And he was so inspired by the visit. He was just there listening, but he's a basketball player and he wants to grow tall. And at 15, you don't all grow at the same pace, right? It's all different. And then he reached out to me later and like, what do I want to do? I want to grow. And boys don't stop growing for a while. It could be till they're 21 or 21, 22. Yeah. So here he is. And I told him things he could do and natural things he could do, because obviously you don't want to do things that are going to compromise or, challenge.
Yeah, there's a lot of young kids right now basically shooting up HGH when they're young in hopes of growing taller, which I know can get the job done. But what are some things that you told that kid?
Raw milk.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't.
But raw milk, it's going to kill you. That's what they say.
I tell people, well, I fed my kids all raw milk and they were fine. Okay. So again, use nature, and avoid things that don't have, the hormones in it, of course. So, and a lot of, I think that the reason why these kids are growing exponentially is because of growth hormones, not the ones that they necessarily inject, but the hormones in the food supply, which is very deleterious because, hormone disruptors are not good for us.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you, so there's this huge trend right now in like rising numbers of young men and women taking anti-anxiety medications and ADHD meds. So what do you think about that? Because we're seeing a lot of it. And, I have a friend who's having a lot of trouble getting off of these meds. So are you seeing a lot of that in your cancer research center? Because I'm seeing like tons of SSRIs, ADHD meds. It's wild.
Right. Well, first of all, why are you having the problem? Okay. Why are you having, and you should be asking, why are you having anxiety and depression? And why do you
I think
need
a lot of
these
people
medications?
don't look towards their health for that, which I think is a huge problem. Whenever I'm having like a issue, I look first at my health. And of course, like normal stuff will like happen in life,
Yes.
business thing and this and you feel, but like I'm able to like ride the waves of emotions now with like a background contentness and like peacefulness.
Right.
But I think a lot of young people, they're like, I have anxiety because of X, Y, and Z in my life. And that's why I have this feeling. And so if I can, then they go to the doctor and the doctor says, oh, you have anxiety. We have a pill that'll reduce your anxiety.
Right. That's happened to me a week ago. I had a 33-year-old come in and she's on Prozac. She's on Prozac to kind of level around. And then she takes Depakote to engage in work. And she has a very big job. Okay. And I'm like, whoa. And I said, so like, what kind of thing gives you anxiety? And she goes, well, I had a relationship for 10 days and then it ended up in disaster and I had to go on Prozac. I said, 10 days? You were in a relationship for 10 days so like, I think we need to evaluate why that in a relationship with 10 days that you are literally decompensating.
Yes.
Okay. This is something. So I spent probably half the visit going over her entire life because that is not normal. Now I can see you're in a 2-year relationship and the guy ghosts you and you haven't seen him. Okay. I get it. Okay. But 10 days. And so we talked at length and I'm a girl, so like she's a lady. I mean, okay, because guys tend to be, a little bit more go with the flow a little bit more than a girl. A girl's emotional rising is big because they need that to take care of those babies.
Yeah.
Okay, and it's a good thing.
Absolutely.
Okay, but it's good that you have a guy who's not as emotionally, that they're a little more in control, right? Yeah. And so anyway, and I asked her, I said, so would you like to get off of these? And because I don't force people to do anything, they have to make their own decisions. But I asked her, I said, would you like to get off these? And I said, she goes, yes, but I can't. And I said, I will teach you how to get off of them because these drugs are like coming off heroin for a lot of people.
Powerful.
Okay. And you should partner with the doctor who knows how to help you get off these medications because I have treated addiction. I have treated alcoholics, which is like probably just in the same realm. Okay. So I used to have an addiction center as part of our center. Okay. So I know about these things. Okay. And addiction is real. Your brain's been hijacked. Not everybody who consumes a substance gets addicted. Okay. So there's certain thing that happens in the brain that the brain gets hijacked.
Yeah.
Okay. And so that's why you have to respect that patient that has addiction because it's something that they have a predisposition to. All right. I mean, now they're saying you can get addicted to these opiates in like 5 days.
Yeah.
Okay. Alcohol too can be something very quick. So if you recognize that about yourself, you need to know that you cannot do that.
Yeah.
Okay. And people get addicted to food too. I mean, lots of things. Okay. Because of the dopamine hit. But so I told her, and I always say, if it takes like an heroic effort to get off these, you can imagine what it is doing to your physiology.
Yes.
All right. And so there are neurochemicals in your brain and your body. Okay. And believe it or not, like 80% of your serotonin is made in your gut.
Mhm.
Okay. So a lot of times people have anxiety because they have a very unhealthy gut.
Mhm.
All right. And a lot of people have anxiety because they're just not conducting their life with order.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
You must honor the rhythm of your body.
Mhm.
Okay. It's a 24-hour machine. It is miraculous. It is miraculous.
It is.
You need to be a good custodian of the sanctuary of your cells.
Mhm.
And everyone should be taught that from birth.
Yeah.
Okay. And again, I will reiterate, I'm not talking about perfection.
Mhm.
All right. I do not do everything perfectly.
Yeah.
All
neither
right.
do I.
All right. And so, but you must honor and take inventory of what you are doing in your life. All right. Everything.
Yeah.
And then if you're doing things that you hate and you do not like, that is going to affect you. If you're in a relationship that is not serving your highest good, that's probably not good for you.
Yeah.
Okay. If you are drinking, 5 cups of coffee or whatever and all the chemicals in it, like, I'm sorry, it's not going to be healthy for you.
Mhm.
And like I always say, in today's world, every decision is a healthcare decision.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you because everyone is not well, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Okay. And they say that the number one cause of teenagers is dying is suicide.
Mhm.
Now, why isn't that on the front page of every newspaper and
It's
everything?
yeah. It's
okay.
it's
And how can you
wild.
be a teenager when you're living country club life?
Yeah.
Your life is like your parents are taking care of you. You have a place to sleep. Most people,
Yeah.
I'm sure there's people that, do not have a good environment. Okay. So I don't want to discount that. But you're living a life that your parents are, somehow one or two parents are, taking
Yeah.
care of you and supporting you. So there's something in society that we're doing that's creating these children to want to commit suicide.
I think it's like so clear in many ways where it's like if you gave me a mixture of antidepressants, a caffeine addiction, and then I started to harm my health with some fast food, some alcohol,
Right.
6 to
You
8
have a
hours
chemical
of scrolling.
experiment
Yeah,
that's
6
not-
to 8 hours of scrolling per day.
Mhm.
Specifically looking at things nowadays with like the short form media, you don't know what's coming next. You're watching a lot of like really popular creators who live lives that like are unattainable for you,
Or for anybody.
and then the dating scene now, talking to like these young adults is like really messed up for them, where man, like back when I was young, like if you like went and like dated a girl, something happened, whatever, like you might get roasted by your friends like in person about it, but now it lives online like forever. So it's like you create this like mixture of all those things I just talked about, and it's like it doesn't surprise me that young men and women are offing themselves. Like it creates that like environment in the brain where they feel like life isn't worth living. And I think like it's a beautiful thing when you do look at the body, like you're saying, like a beautiful machine, because like I can literally just hack how I feel so easily.
Right.
Like this sunset, I'm going to go surf.
Right.
It's so easy. I'm going to have my feet in the sand. I'm going to be in the ocean. I'm going to be with friends. There's going to be no phones out there. I'm going to eat healthy food before. I'm going to sauna and eat healthy food after. And I do these things because it's a reliable, repeatable way to make me feel good. And then you get into like this, I'm doing like this combination of making sure my body and brain are like set up for success with like the basic things that we all know, no one debates, of like, if you sleep enough, you're going to have better dopamine regulation, you're going to have better serotonin production. If your gut is healthy, like basic stuff. If you're deficient in zinc, your testosterone is going to go down. Oh, testosterone helps support like a mood. This is like non-debatable stuff. And then I sort of integrate that with my personal life, like I've been doing over the last decade, where I'm like, okay, I'm going to try to build a business that's like fulfilling. I'm going to like spend a lot of time with my wife, like human touch. There's so many studies on human touch,
Human touch and human connection.
and it
keeps
just
you
gets,
alive.
It just gets lost. And when you talk about all the issues of the young people, I think one of the biggest issues is isolation.
Right,
They
because
don't-
they're all on their phone.
they're all on their phones, and they're like, that's where they get like the connection, and they create, parasocial relationships. There's just this thing, my friend his name's Clav. He's like the most popular influencer right now. And-
Clav.
yeah, Clav. And he is what's called a looks-maxing influencer.
Oh, I've seen that. I was studying that. I was like, what?
Yeah.
You are mutilating your body?
Yes. So they, that group is fans of basically getting good looking by any means necessary. So some of
Yeah.
these people will do testosterone from a young age to develop more masculine
Okay,
features.
so let's talk about that right now.
Let's talk about that. Yeah.
Because I wrote about testosterone levels in men, young
Mhm.
men. I mean, probably 20 years ago or longer,
Mhm.
because I was like, I've always checked people's hormones forever. It's not a new thing for me. I've checked it their whole life because I had hormonal problems. So I saw the absolute serious emotional physical impact of hormones. Okay.
Yes.
So I know, and they're so underrated.
Mhm.
Okay. But you got to do everything the right way.
Yeah.
Okay. And there is a right way, literally for everything, because I've been treating hormones for 35 plus years.
Yeah.
Okay. And like now it's like new thing that doctors are start doing, and they're doing pellets and they're doing this and whatever they're doing. And then of course peptides and all that stuff. So if your body will not work if you don't honor it. Okay. So like if you want to have a circadian rhythm, you have the hypothalamic pituitary axis.
Mhm.
Okay. So that is the conductor. It's the hypothalamus and sends message to pituitary, and the pituitary, puts out these stimulating hormones for all your hormones to work. And then you combine now with all the pollution. So all the pollution, we have all this endocrine disruption, and you're eating it, you're drinking it, and everything. So very few people do have hormonal harmony.
Yeah.
Okay. Because of the environment that we're living in. Okay. And then people don't understand, these young boys, they're taking testosterone. What are you doing? You don't need to take testosterone. You can increase your testosterone naturally.
Mhm.
All right. But you can do it with herbs. You can do it with HCG. You can do it with Clomid. Okay. I figure it out with each person what is going to be best and
Mhm.
easiest. Okay. And so, but to be taking testosterone now, if you're 65 years old, you may need to do that.
Mhm.
Okay. But not at 20 and 25 and 30 and 35 and 40. You should not be taking testosterone. Okay. And then that guy I saw, he did jaw surgery. Well, when you do surgery to yourself, it's an injury, and it's, lots of consequences.
Mhm.
Okay. And I've had surgery, so I know. All right. I'm an expert in that. So, and you do all these things to your body, there is a price to pay for everything.
Mhm.
Okay. And they need to be working with a doctor who can help you get to where you want to be, but the correct way.
Yeah.
Okay. There is a right way
Absolutely.
to do everything. All
Yeah.
right. But all these guys just taking testosterone, whatever way, that is not good. And that's not the only hormone in your body. You have hundreds of hormones in your body. You must address the entire hormonal orchestra, but you can't just be taking things without addressing how you are honoring your body to make sure it is working and producing the necessary hormones.
Yeah, I'm worried about, what's going to happen to a lot of young men that are living this way that we've kind of talked about once they hit, late 20s, early 30s.
Yes.
But I think a lot of them just think like, I don't even want to live that long. Like, I don't care. I want like success or whatever, like the results now. But I don't think they're going to be feeling that way when they're in their 30s.
Well, there's nothing easy, quick, fast.
Yeah.
Okay. And when you break the rules in your body, there is a price to pay.
Mhm.
Okay. I'm telling you.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's all there's to it. Yeah. I'm just telling you.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, if you're using weight loss peptides, now there are good peptides that
Yeah.
can be very helpful. Okay. Like thymus peptide. But you want to do things that with someone who's educated that can tell you the good, bad, and the ugly of everything.
For sure. We had a Boot Bakri in here, and we see, like, I've even seen just some people I've talked to, they'll be young and relatively lean. Maybe they're 10 pounds overweight, and they get on retatrutide or another GLP peptide. And they aren't able to eat enough calories to hit their micronutrients. But they feel, oh, well, I'm losing weight. They get really lean, really shredded. It's like a thing that young people want nowadays. It's called lean maxing is what they call it. They want to be very lean, to have a defined jawline.
Yes.
They're like into like this kind of
like that Clav guy.
yeah, like into this male modeling world where a lot of those guys are very, very lean. And so you have guys that are already lean, but they're not like super male modeling. And so they take like retatrutide injections to get to that like next level of lean. But then they develop micronutrient deficiencies. And then they go to someone like Dr. Abood and they go, my hormones are cooked. And he goes, what are you eating? They go like, I eat like 1,200 calories a day. He's like, well, what's going on here? It's a crazy way to go about life. What I want to do right now is let's talk about some supplements. Like, what supplements do you like? Like, do you use any in your daily routine?
Well, what I do is I have a green juice every morning.
Nice.
Okay. And in the green juice, I put aloe vera because aloe vera enhances the absorption. And then I use drops of vitamin C, coenzyme Q10, D, glutathione, and curcumin.
Nice.
Okay. And then my supplements, other things that I use is I use PQQ for my mitochondria. And then I will take pancreatic enzymes because pancreatic enzymes are very helpful for decreasing inflammation, helping your immune system, and preventing cancer. Now this is just what I do in the morning. Okay. Then before work, I will take berberine I use something called IQ Maximizer. So it's phosphatidylcholine with phosphatidylserine with a whole bunch of other nutrients because I'm going to go be using my brain.
Yes.
Okay. And it gives me this calm, relaxed, focused state. And then when I get to work, I kind of have like multiple.
No, I love it. I'm the same way.
But multiple things that I do when I, get to work. So when I get to work, I usually am taking things for my mitochondria. So I use a combination pill that's got, coenzyme Q10 and I use this, it's called research ATP 360. So I use that. And then I drink hydrogen water mostly all day, not necessarily all day, but a good amount of it. All right. And then I put ozonated glycerin in my organic coffee in the morning, and I use raw cream. And then I will have a green tea in the afternoon with a teeny bit of ozonated glycerin.
Okay, nice. We need to try some ozonated glycerin. That's cool.
Yeah. It's really, relatively new in the United States in the past year. But it's great for, oxygenation, antimicrobial, rejuvenating, etc. And then, let's see what else. And at night, I always take magnesium. I take magnesium, a little bit more pancreatic enzymes, a little more C, and take progesterone. And I do take my hormones. So I'm at an age where I need to take a little bit of DHEA, a little bit of pregnenolone, a little estrogen, a little progesterone, testosterone. And I do take thymus. I do thymus injectable.
Nice.
So I get it from Malaysia, from a company that's been around a long time. And they're called MITOCHONDRIAL. So MITOCHONDRIAL are basically the extraction of from different organs or glands. And they're the mitochondrial elements of the organ or gland. And so they come in all different, forms. I mean, most young people don't need it.
Yeah.
But your thymus, like I said earlier, involutes by the time, starts involuting in your 20s. And then by the time you're my age, you have very little bit left. But your thymus is like the organ that is the conductor of your immune system. And so it's kind of the forgotten hormone. And that's where I saw it. Bakri responded to one of my things on the thymus gland.
Yeah, it's big into that.
Yeah. So, and it was a big thing in the 70s. And then I learned about it from my German doctor friends. And because it's very normal in Germany and European, not in all of them, but that they use thymus. And so, so I will use different peptides. You know, when I've had surgery, I've used BPC and
Yep.
TGF beta, and I use peptides in the office. But it's interesting. I would say the most recurrent peptide that people order, like out of all the peptides, is BPC 157.
Mhm.
Okay, like they can order all the other ones.
I've used it. I've used it on some injuries recently.
Right.
And so like there are some people who say like, oh, like BPC, would it, because it leads to angiogenesis. So like would this like feed cancer?
Right. Like I
What
don't
do you-
give it to
yeah.
cancer patients.
Yeah.
I don't give BPC I don't give any peptides. The only peptide I'll give is thymosin alpha or thymus
Mm.
or like bone marrow peptides or
Mhm.
depending on what I'm trying to fix, maybe spleen, maybe, because those are all immune organs.
Yeah.
Okay. Or like if people need to have healthier kidneys, I'll give kidney peptides. I'll give liver peptides for
Mhm. people
people who have really bad liver, they have fatty liver, or they have autoimmune liver disorders. I
Mhm.
will give them different peptides. A lot of people don't know about live cell therapy, which has been around a long time and like over 100 years, but it kind of lost its way. It's basically just you want to eat organs or you inject organs that you want. Like treats like,
Yeah.
right? So if you want a better liver, you eat liver.
Mhm.
You want kidneys, you grind up kidneys with tomato juice and get done. Like people, societies for years have been eating
Yeah.
tongue and brain and pig's feet and all kind of, my mother, ate pig's feet.
Absolutely.
I ate tongue, I ate menudo, all those
Yeah.
things. And so, that's probably better in taking care of yourself than, but some of the peptides can be beneficial.
Yeah.
Okay. And like repair, I had a guy with terrible shoulders and he's a surfer
Mhm.
and older guy in his like mid 60s. And the BPC was like a miracle worker. So I would say that is the number one
It is.
reordered peptide. But in cancer, I'm very particular about,
Mhm.
like I don't use glutathione in cancer because glutathione can have that double-edged sword, be good, but also
Mhm.
can be, can make cancer grow.
Interesting. Yeah. So for like healthy people, like you're probably a fan of like the N-acetylcysteine, glutathione, but
Yeah,
if they have
NAC
cancer,
is
it's
good.
a different story.
Right. NAC is good. Glutathione can be good for like healthy people. I think liver protection, 40% of the population has fatty liver today.
Mm-hmm.
And so I tell people like you need to be very careful in taking care of your liver.
Yeah.
Because I see healthy young people have fatty liver and they're skinny.
Yeah.
Okay, meaning normal weight.
Mhm.
So it's not like before it used to be like you were drinking or doing something, you got fat, but now 40% of the population because the environment is so bad.
Yeah.
That's another thing is I use to detox. I have infrared sauna, but I do a zeolite on a regular basis.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah.
That's good to know.
For something that's been around for a long time to detox. So
And so, what would you say to somebody who maybe has just gotten a cancer diagnosis? Like, it's a really tough question because it's extremely
Mhm.
nuanced with so many different forms of cancer. But
right.
talking to these kids that we did Locked In with, it's why I'm passionate about this. It's so brutal to hear their stories, and it's not just the cancer treatment that they have to go through; it's the uprooting of their lives. Like one of them had to drive 2 hours every day to go get this treatment and 2 hours back. And, it's like a 17-year-old that's just, it's almost impossible. And then go to school and do all that. It's
Yeah,
just,
and how do you do it all?
and then affording it. And then like his car broke down one time. And it's just, these stories they're inspiring because these kids battle this and face it head on. But we've talked a lot about cancer prevention, which I think is the most important thing.
Yeah, prevention is priceless.
It is.
And the cure for cancer.
This is why I say all this shit that I do. Like when people are like, oh, you freak out about crumble cookie and McDonald's and soda. I'm like,
You're not freaking out.
no, you don't want to get in a routine of doing that. And when you look at what an actual cancer diagnosis and treatment looks at, which I've talked to these kids face to face and heard so much about it, you see it every single day in your practice. You would be mentally insane to not try to prevent that in your life. And we know, just talking to you, you see it time after time. People that do live that processed food lifestyle come in and they regret it. because it leads to cancer. Cancer it's not as simple as eat one crumble cookie and you get cancer, but it's
No.
the myriad of things of, oh, I just don't think processed food's that bad. So I eat McDonald's sometimes. I drink soda sometimes. Maybe I use some, skincare products that have some toxic ingredients. And then you add in a slightly uncontrollable thing of maybe you live near a highway or a gas station. And boom, next thing you know, you have cancer.
Right.
And it is brutal. So what would you say to somebody that maybe they have gotten a diagnosis? Like, how can they start to research and advocate for themselves?
Right. Yeah, I think because when you go to a hematologist, oncologist, those are the doctors that treat cancers and blood disorders. And their toolkit is surgery, chemo, or radiation, or an exotic drug, or maybe immunotherapy. And you might need those things, okay? And I always tell patients, because some patients, they come to me, I don't want to do this drug. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. And I'm like, wait a second, let me tell you, this is what you must do because this is your life. You've got to save yourself. You have 2 kids, 3 kids, whatever it is. And I said, so you have to use these things as a bridge to get to the other side. All right. But if you are going to do a biopsy or surgery or chemo or radiation, you must have a protective plan the whole way through. All right. Number 2, you must understand the why, where, when, and how this came about. Okay. Cancer is not some just unlucky situation. It is something that was being masterfully crafted in your body, kind of like you have an alien inside of you. Okay. And so there's something called the tumor microenvironment. And so the tumor microenvironment is all about how the cell is able to survive and last and grow and proliferate. And so in the conventional world, they're not addressing the tumor microenvironment. All right. They're just addressing that you have a lump or bump and we've got to, go after the lump and bump, but we're forgetting what is making that lump and bump grow. So you get surgery, but if you get surgery, it didn't take care of the environment and the terrain that the cancer came in. And so you've got to understand all aspects. And your doctor, if you ask your doctor, he or she's going to tell you what you eat doesn't matter. Okay. Well, I've never seen anything that says that what you eat doesn't matter. In fact, they did a study of 44,000 identical twins. The single greatest predictor of whether the identical twins were going to get cancer was what they ate and their lifestyle.
Wow.
So we know that what you eat and your lifestyle, so your lifestyle is everything. The same thing we're talking about, your 24-hour day. And so that is the single greatest determinants of health. And so most people will tell you that, we can reduce a lot of cancers just by avoiding the carcinogens, like don't smoke, don't drink, or if you drink, very little, and eat right and exercise. Okay. Now, stress is also a big, big problem these days. Okay. And doctors do not have the time or the training or the wherewithal to address the stress of a patient. Okay.
A lot of these kids had unique, stressful situations in their life, like whether it was how they were raised, family stuff. And it's like, that's what you're saying about that combination of like, it doesn't just come from the genetic argument is
it's very little.
It's very defeatist. But this is what most people will say is cancer's genetic, acne, which I talk about a lot, genetic.
No. Cancer is not genetic. Depending on who you read. If you talk to Bruce Lipton, who's an iconic, I love him. Anyway, he's 80, 81 maybe, and he'll say that it's less than 1%, but it's probably about 5%. Now, years ago, I started doing genetic testing on patients because it was a test, and I was like, okay, we're going to do it just to see. Okay. I rarely ever saw a positive result, meaning like, oh, you have a genetic situation. And you look at BRCA, look at, women who have BRCA gene. A lot of those people never get cancer. Some of them do, some of them don't. So obviously genetics plays a very small role. And so, and unfortunately, if you think like that, if you have your mom and dad, oh, my mom had heart disease, my dad had this, oh, I'm probably going to have that. Well, like you're programming your diagnosis. No, you don't ever want to do that.
Yeah.
Okay. My dad died of a heart attack. My mother had breast cancer. I've never thought for 1 minute, 1 moment that I would have either or.
Mhm.
Okay. And I'm 68. I do not take any medications. Okay. So hormones are not medications. Hormones are natural drugs that
Mhm.
your body needs. Okay. And on the Center for New Medicine side, most all those patients come in for either human optimization, longevity, or just want to be healthy. Okay. I do not have a heart attack once a year.
Mhm.
I don't have a patient that developed cancer in a year. I mean, my oldest patient is 94.
Yeah.
Okay. They only see me once or twice a year.
Yes.
Okay. Because I tell them, here's what you do to go create health for yourself. I tell them exactly what to do, and then they go do it. I don't fix them. They fix themselves. Okay. And it's interesting. I tell the story because it was funny. I've never thought about it, but a friend of mine was at a shower, and the baby shower. And so she asked me, she goes, how does it feel to have friends that have cancer or serious illness? I said, I don't have any friends that have anything. And my oldest friend is 87,
Mhm.
and they don't have anything because they see me, like I said, once or twice a year, and they take care of themselves.
Yeah.
Okay. And because at my age, I have older friends. Yes, I know a lot of young people because of my kids and everything. But I mean, at my age is when you get sick.
Yes.
Okay. And I don't have those. I don't have what I tell people. My job is to avoid homo interruptus,
Mhm.
man interrupted.
Mhm.
That's my job.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's what every doctor should be,
Mhm.
right? Just think how phenomenal the world would be if we started just focusing on creating health and not treating illness, sickness, and disease.
Yeah. It's facts. It's crazy. There's all this money thrown at finding a cure for cancer. We
Yeah.
need to cure cancer. We need to cure cancer. And listening to you as someone who runs an actual cancer research center and you see patients,
Day in, day out.
there is a cure for cancer, and it lies in the prevention.
Right.
And we're constantly trying to find these cures for cancer, which is great. I think all that, is great. But the cure for getting cancer exists, and it's all the stuff that you talk about.
Right.
And of course, these things need to be made more accessible, the sort of deep lab work that you can do. But we have to be able to work backwards and go, okay, sure, what can someone with money do right now? These things are going to get more affordable. And it's like for my wife, we're going to prep to have kids. So it's like I'm getting her a bunch of lab work right now. And when I have a kid, they're going to, obviously get all the free healers, the sunshine, the good food, the grounding and all this stuff, the low EMF environment. They're not going to be eating toxic stuff and all this stuff. But then when they're older, they'll get some lab work done. We'll see what's going on in their gut. And it's like, I know my kid, God, isn't going to get cancer because of all these tools that we have. And so the cure for cancer is there.
Right. The cure for cancer is there. Yes, there are some extenuating circumstances. Okay. Maybe exposure, maternal exposure,
Yeah.
Mother downloading toxins and so forth, and environment. And the best thing to do is avoid all medicines and all interventions. There's a great book called Your Baby, Your Way. And because when I had kids, it wasn't like a business.
Yeah.
Okay. Now having a baby, getting pregnant's a business, having a baby is a business. Everything. And it's like, no, you don't really need any of those things. I rarely went to the doctor, occasionally went to the doctor for a quick checkup, but the doctor didn't do anything. It has its own force.
Mhm.
Okay. And then having a baby, if you just nourish it and, like you said, expose it to all the right things, they do fine. My twins are 31. They never took antibiotics. Okay.
Mhm.
I never gave them antibiotics. Okay.
Yeah.
And I gave them real food, and I gave them real milk, and I made my own baby food, and I did all the things, the right music, the right everything. And I have lots of good things to share for you. But they don't, you don't, they have they have the innate power and force to, as long as you give it the right things. But let's talk about that stress, because it was so interesting. Last week, I had a patient, 24 years old. And the scary thing is, so as I told you, I always ask, like, okay, so how did this all come about? So she was saying that she had pain on her right side, and then none of the doctors listened. Okay. And then she kept complaining. No one listened. No one listened. And then finally, like 9 months later, she's like, she had a mass in her uterus, and they go, oh, you have a fibroid. Well, a 24-year-old with a fibroid, like that is very unusual because you haven't even lived that long to have a fibroid. How could you have a fibroid? Okay. Yes, 30% of the population, women population have fibroids, but it takes usually years for that to become an entity. And so anyway, to make a long story short, she ends up in the ER, and now this mass has grown huge, and it's a sarcoma. Sarcoma is a tumor of muscle and her bone. And now, of course, she's doing chemo, and she's done radiation. I mean, she came in with a walker, 24 years old. And then I go through the history, and I said, so like, what was your health like birth to 10 years? And so she told me that her mother is an alcoholic, and basically she lost custody of her because she's an alcoholic. And so now she's living with her dad. Her dad, though, she said, is the most emotionally unavailable human, and the stepmother doesn't care. And I was like, what? So we as parents need to be very mindful that we are providing the best care possible.
Yeah.
And that we are not projecting our stress and our own unresolved emotional conflicts on our little baby miracles. And I wish there was like a parenting class for people, before they have a baby, so they could really kind of do emotional upgrade. Like everyone needs to be on emotional upgrade because it's, part of life. And you may not know the emotional conflicts, because what do? 95% of our thoughts, those never ending, relenting, subconscious thoughts, are playing around from the recordings from in utero to where you are now. But also we inherit, if you listen to Gabor Mate, who's like one of the most famous psychiatrists of our time, we inherit 15 generations of trauma and drama. And that doesn't mean that you're going to have a problem, because life is all about how we respond. And I always tell everyone, you need to read The Man's Search for Meaning. Viktor Frankl, do you know that book? It's one of the most books written.
Okay.
And he was in a concentration camp. And he was a psychologist by training. And he did not allow anyone to take away his dignity and who he was, and no one was going to control his thoughts in his mind. And he lived, and that's when he wrote the book.
Yeah.
And because life is all how we respond to it. It is not a straight line for anyone. I have never met a soul, and I talk to every single patient about stress, every single one of them. And everybody has stress, but it's also how we program that stress, how we think about it, what we're going to do about it, and you can turn everything bad into good.
Yeah.
I know, because I am living proof of it. And fortunately, years ago, when I was in my clinic, one of my employees recommended me to go see a life coach. And I was like, okay, now how can a life coach help me? Like, you probably would say the same thing, okay? I'm working and so forth and so on. And then I was like, she must be seeing something I don't see, right? So I'll never forget her name and everything, darling little girl that worked for me. Anyway, I went to go see him, and I was married at the time with 3 children, and I was just married to the wrong person, and didn't know it and didn't know how to get out of it, because here I have 3 babies, and so I went to go see this life coach who was actually a minister also, and I just go and talk, because other people see things differently, right? And how we show up in life, people look at us. We all have barriers, walls, rackets, whatever word you want to say, and so that was a pivotal moment. My life completely changed.
Yeah.
Because a person was direct with me. I listened, I received, and I changed my life.
Yeah.
yes, he was the guide, but I had to do it.
100%.
Right.
Yeah.
And so there's nothing more important than getting an emotional upgrade. Nothing. Okay. It could be a friend. It could be counselor. It could be someone who, maybe people who care about you, people who love you. And the people who love you are going to tell you how it is.
Yeah.
Okay. If they don't tell you how it is, they're not putting themselves on the line.
Yeah. That's truth. I think it's interesting how much like the importance that you place as a doctor on the emotional state, the amount of stress people have, because it is just overlooked. We're just very like symptom focused.
Yes, we're 100% symptom focused.
And it's like, but stress, we know, everyone knows that there's this big like meme right now of like cortisol. People are like, don't spike my cortisol. And it's kind of true. It's like, if you are living a life that you don't like with people you don't like in your life, then you're going to have just like cortisol spikes, for lack of a better term. The last thing I want to close with is this, which is, what are some technologies or things that you are excited about sort of in the future of cancer research and treatment? Like whether that be hyperbaric chambers, I know you've talked about a bit, stuff like that is sort of on the come up or you're excited about for the future.
Well, I'm excited because last year was the first, because of Robert Kennedy and the Make America Healthy Again. It was like, okay, whoa, I am vindicated now. I am accepted after 40 years, literally, because a lot of people, like, I've been doing this a long time. So people thought you're kind of kooky, woo-woo, right?
This is why I voted for RFK. And it's like, it was I think politics are kind of jester is the term that people use nowadays. But when RFK came out, I'm like, this dude talks about hyperbaric chambers. He talks about sauna. And like
Methylene blue. He's big on methylene blue.
People will, think that like a vote for him is endorsing every single thing he talks about.
Exactly.
No, it is a vote for, I've never seen someone talk about health on this stage.
Right.
And Michelle Obama did a decent job, but like RFK is like to another level talking about health. So,
Well, he's been defending babies for 20 years. So he knows a lot because he had to defend babies.
You're saying when I have a kid, I shouldn't do 40 vaccines?
Probably not.
Probably not.
Anyway, so finally now there's an opening. There's an opening, and we got to seize every minute, every moment to change the system. That's why it's so funny, because my friend's like, oh my God, you work so hard. How are you, like, when are you going to retire? When are you going to stop working? I go, never. Even you mentioned it. And I was like, what? Are you kidding? First of all, this is my purpose. This is my passion, period, end of story. And then you can only do so much exercise and yoga and health stuff. Okay. I mean, I incorporate that. Like that's not my number one priority.
Yeah.
Okay. Is to take care of myself. And because, you have to take care of yourself if I'm going to be good for you. Okay. And so like, and I feel like we have the opportunity of a lifetime to transform the future of health and humanity. And I see all these young people like yourself and other people. I have patients. I mean, so many signs. And I'm like, no, I have all these young people now supporting me, making this mission, real.
Yeah.
And I just like, people just don't realize the miracle of a human.
Yeah.
They just don't realize it. And I get to see it every single day. And I'm in awe every day because I learn something new every day. So it inspires me to educate you, teach you, whatever platform, whether it's one-on-one or in a group, or if I fly to Saudi Arabia to lecture or wherever. Okay. And I'm in the process of organizing a group of physicians with another doctor. And we are passionate about changing the paradigm of medicine to now what we call systems medicine, okay? Because you got to do something that kind of the conventional doctors can come onto, okay, can jump onto, right? And they're realizing it. And I'll tell you a story. I have a new patient coming in Monday, and the oncologist called and insisted he talk with me, and I was like, wow, this is really interesting. And so I go, okay, sure. I said, please tell him I'm going to call him. And because he called back and said, well, when is she going to call? And I'm like, okay, this is good. So I called him and we played phone talk for quite a bit. And then he answer the phone. And so he starts telling me about the entire history of the patient, very, very significant medical history, and what he's done and what the status is now and so forth. And I said, so you know what I do, right? And so he goes, oh, yes, I've heard about you. One of my friends' friend told me they have to see you. You've got to take care of this patient. And he goes, I am so excited to know what you're going to do, how you're going to handle it and everything. And I said, so how old are you? And he goes, I'm 53. I said, oh, wow. I said, this is so amazing. I said, I so appreciate that you want to cooperate and collaborate for the winning of this patient.
Absolutely.
I said, this is change.
Yeah.
I said, I will send you my book. I'll send you all the articles that I write about. And I want you to be on my team.
Mm-hmm.
And I want us to be on a team together.
Yeah.
And so I do feel like it is changing a little bit, okay, for the past year.
For sure.
Okay. I've seen patients go, oh, my doctor, I told him I'm coming. They're going like, oh, I'm all for it. And I'm like, whoa. So things are changing.
Yeah.
It's just that they have not been educated. And once they get educated, they come on board. And anything that I do, trust me, anything will not hurt you.
Yeah.
Okay. Nothing I do is going to hurt you. I promise nothing. Okay. And anything that I do has lots of PubMed studies on it. Okay. Whether it's hyperbaric or PMF or laser light or anything that I do. And so our mission now is to create this, systems medicine with doctors. And we already have now doctors are like, it's becoming like, okay, what are you going to do? How do you do it? And so we're offering lectures for the doctors, and we want to create this educational platform in my clinic. Okay. And then we're getting companies, like I work with companies, like one company out of India that does special cancer testing, and that's called ATAR, and another company out of Switzerland, RGCC. And these aren't new labs. These are labs that been around, but they are precision labs. They're precision. So if a patient has cancer, what is going to work? Chemotherapy and natural substances and repurposed drugs. Okay. And we must address the entire tumor microenvironment. I cannot repeat that again enough. Okay. For example, if I told you have diabetes and I said, Brendan, you have diabetes, and I'm not sure why, where, when, and how, but we're going to figure that out. But this is what you got to do. I can't tell you to take this metformin and you're going to be fine, right? Is that going to work?
No, not if I'm eating crumble cookie every day.
Yeah, if you're not eating crumble cookie and you're not exercising and you're not getting sunshine and you're not sleeping and your cortisol's through the roof because you're stressed, am I going to make headway?
No, metformin's going to do a little nudge, but that's not going to do the job.
No. And so we have got to focus on what is really biochemically, biophysiologically happening in the body. All right. You've got to address the acidity, the oxygen. And one big thing that's going to be changing medicine is insulin. Insulin is the seed cancers of soil. So people, when you have, what is insulin? It's a growth hormone. Okay. So it's not something that you want in your body. Okay. At high levels, you want an ideal level of about 5. And so if your insulin levels are high, you're going to be predisposed to all illness. There's an insulin component to every illness. Heart disease, like that's the biggest thing. It's not cholesterol, it's insulin.
Yeah.
And in cancer, it's insulin. All right. And so because we know that those glycation end products are just advancing your age, right? That's what the hemoglobin A1C test is all about. So it's insulin with hemoglobin A1C and then your fasting sugar. And that's what everybody should be checking, and their CRP, C-reactive protein. And these are just simple tests that
those are easy. You can get those for
these
like
are
$100,
easy tests. And I talk about that in my book. So, but one of the things in oncology that's kind of in the future, and I'll tell you, is like when a patient gets diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, the pancreas is right here in the upper part of your abdomen. And, it's an organ that doesn't have a capsule. Like the liver has a beautiful capsule, kidney has a capsule, but the pancreas is like sits here, and that's an insulin problem, as well as a toxin problem, as well as an eating problem, all that, because, what does your pancreas make? Pancreatic enzyme, insulin, glucagon. But what happens is the vasculature is very delicate. So how our chemo is going to get there? And then cancers have a tendency to form this scar, this fibrosis. So medicines and chemo can't get to it. So we got to break up that scar. So there's new technologies. I use sound in my clinic. I use this brand new machine. I had an older machine, meaning, and things get better. Well, actually the guy who came over to look at our sound machine and he goes, oh, I have a great idea to make a better sound machine. So he's like talking to us all the time. It took him about 7 years to kind of create it. And then he finally okay, now you guys try it.
Yeah.
And so then, but we are, all of us are, we're learning, and you got to just be open to learning. And again, if there's no downside, why wouldn't we try it?
Yeah.
Okay. That's what I tell people. If there's no danger and it's not going to create any problems, let's go for it. And that's where we are, is we've got to go. If you think these people talking about a cancer vaccine and all that, cancer vaccine, you talk about Patrick Soon-Ling.
Yeah, they say that they're like in Russia right now, they're going to develop a cancer vaccine.
Okay, no, because again, I will reiterate, the tumor microenvironment is what you must address. Same way I told you about diabetes. I can't just give Brendan a pill and say, Brendan, I'll see you in 3 months, see how we're doing.
Yeah. If my lifestyle is cooked, if I'm feeding that environment that's going to cause tumors, or like the diabetes example, then there is nothing that could fix that.
Right.
Besides everything. Everything can fix it, but you have to throw everything at it.
Right.
It's wild. I think it's amazing what you're doing, and I do really hope that modern medicine comes around, because it would also save us a tremendous amount of money. If we could actually get people in early and tell them about these things. It would
save a lot of money.
A lot of money.
An ounce of prevention is worth
sauna, start doing hyperbaric chamber. You should eat this way, which thank God the food pyramid, the new one got put out, and it's looking great. And people nitpick with it and this. It's hey, it's a lot better than it used to be.
Exactly.
It's moving in the right direction. And, then exercise and everything. And then, like you're saying, avoiding these toxic things that are in our environment, avoiding them. And it's not a fear-based thing. People sometimes make the joke of, Brendan, you're scared of Red 40. You're scared of crumble cookie. I'm not scared of shit. I'm just
you're dealing with it. You're confronting it.
Yeah. I'm just going to make a slightly better decision. It is so easy for me to not walk into a crumble cookie and eat that. It is so easy for me to not buy a paraben-filled skin lotion and lube myself up in that. I could just take little beef tallow. It's one ingredient. It's been used forever. So there's always options, and I appreciate you highlighting them a lot. Is there anything else you want to touch on?
Well, we've got to create this contagious revolution now. And you're doing it, I'm doing it, and we got to get as many people, because we could have this society that is thriving, vibrating at the highest frequency, helping each other be the best version of ourselves.
Yeah. And I feel like we have that, but it's not enough people. I'm trying to get more people involved in it. And the only way you can really get involved in it is if you feel it. And so that's why I do these 30-day challenges, 60-day challenges for people. It's just lock in on your health for 30 days. Because when I was young and I was unhealthy, I didn't know how good I could feel. So I looked at people that are all into health of, oh, you're crazy. You don't understand, dude. If I have a beer and this, I feel good. No, you don't, because you don't know how good your body feels. When I was in high school, I tell the story a lot. I got a little bit addicted to opioids back in the day. My friends were doing them, and you pop these things, take a Vicodin, and you're like, oh, I feel good, And I literally say now, when I'm having a great healthy day, I get that feeling times 10. And it's literally a similar feeling, this beautiful warmness, goodness right here. And I get this, I call it stoke. I'm just really I feel amazing. And that's why I'm so passionate about what I do. It's and I kind of replicate that in people by giving them a beautiful day of sunshine, surf, eat some good food. And you repeat that over and over again. And it just skyrockets it. And my success in business is easy.
Well, and
my
you're
brain just
consistently feeling great.
100%.
Because you do this.
Everything, literally everything becomes better. Young men out there, you'll have better sexual relationships. Whatever that's a big thing for young men. Sex will be better.
you'll feel better. Yeah, everyone, all these young men want to make money. Your brain will work better. You'll be able to outwork people just naturally, not even trying. Like you were saying, you run circles around the people, you know, like it's just because you're healthy. And so I think that's like a big message I'm trying to push people is you're young, you're competitive, you have this drive, you want to be successful. Health will get you there 100%.
That's right. Number one value is that.
Absolutely. Dr. Connealy, thank you so much for coming in. This is amazing. And people can find you on your Instagram, which will have pop up right now, and some other links right here. Get her book. If there's anybody in your life that has cancer, just get them that book, send them that book, and have them read that. And there's a lot of info in there. Appreciate you guys so much. Leave any questions, like, and subscribe. Talk to you guys soon. Love you.